And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to our second series of the night. Welcome to the round 16 of the WardiTV Monday number 6. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Post Youth, we have the Danish Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Sidestorm Gaming. It is MaxPax. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the Canadian Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. And you know what time it is if you're in the chats. Predictions are open to get your gamba going, as you can place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Will it be one Protoss player or the other? Up to you to decide. Best of luck. As again, MaxPax is the best Protoss player in all of Europe, and also our most recent Leo Lee champion. Leo Lee Cup champion. True. Did recently win it all against Rogue. Had a very close series against Clem as well. Ooh, and MaxPax even going for the gas, for the gas deal. Don't often see that. But we are opening up, and of course we're loading into Post Youth. Post Youth has a very unique feature, that is a ramp. There's a ramp coming into the main base, so it is very common to open up Gate Expand. As I say that though, Trigger does go for a 2-gate opener, so now it makes sense that MaxPax would go for the gas seal. That will delay the gas income here of Trigger. And MaxPax across the map should be able to expand. Oh my god, so close. Trigger is in position in time. MaxPax forced to throw down the Cyber Core. It's more of a delayed Cyber Core, delayed expansion. And MaxPax, he was hoping to get the Nexus. And Trigger will get away. So we do have a bit of a back and forth. Overall, MaxPax is still being a little bit more economic, going for a single gateway into a faster expansion. He might opt to go for a Stargate before Nexus, but you can see MaxPax banking up those minerals, and the Nexus is going to be thrown down. There we go, Nexus is on the way. Trigger going to be opening up Double Adept. Ooh, sending out his probe. Okay, pulls back with the probe. MaxPax, he pulls back with the probe, trying to get a read on things. Trigger now going to be expanding. Is going to be the Stargate follow-up out of MaxPax. Oh, but Trigger, he is slowly mining through that mineral patch. Oh, he does mine through, but the Adept does scout. And again, cheeky moves out to Trigger, mining through those minerals, but MaxPax is aware. Now, what does this mean? This means that Trigger does have a way in. Adepts are moving out. MaxPax, unable to wall off in time. Adepts, they will bust into the main base. Or will they? I mean, you can wall that off with a Shade. Speaking of, does Shade in time, does defend. Very clutch defense here out of MaxPax. And with that, he holds. Again, Trigger was going for a cheeky maneuver, but yeah, time and time again, MaxPax, he's ready for it. Ready with that Shade. And as a result, Trigger, he has a bit of catching up to do. One Adept does Shade in, but just the one. Threads a mineral line, heads into the natural. Does lay mining, getting one probe kill, not bad. Getting, barely not two. Does get the one probe. Another Adept shades in. But again, just one at a time, so it's not as threatening as this otherwise could be. Getting 2 probes to 2 Adepts. Not the best trade for Trigger. And MaxPax is moving out. It's time for him to be the aggressor himself. Oracle into the main. Double Stalker in position. 3 Stalkers in the natural. Oracle is forced back. And so far, Trigger, he's holding his own. Likewise, MaxPax going for his own counter-adept aggression, but Trigger, he does fully wall up. He is preemptively set up for it. Likewise, Trigger taking into Blink, and so was MaxPax. Here we go. Oracle does hit the natural. Ooh, two Adepts do slip. They do slip into the main. Not like this. They do slip in. They can one-shot probes. And probes are going down. Brutal losses for Trigger, losing 3 probes. Losing up to 4. 4 probes to 2 Adepts. Better trade for MaxPax. MaxPax does take an economic lead. And now we'll take a third. We'll take a third base. See someone saying, I think he let one in intentionally. I don't think so. I think MaxPax would have appreciated more just not losing any workers as opposed to the 2 that he lost. As the Adepts were slightly out of position. But regardless, it was still a better defense out of MaxPax. It's better to lose 2 probes to 2 Adepts than what we saw from Trigger. And this is a bold move. A very bold move. Trigger, he will take the center expansion going for the gold. It's a very exposed base, but considering the deficit that Trigger has, it does make sense. Does make sense to go into the gold. But last MaxPax, he's aware. We have a proxy pylon being set up to reinforce across the map. MaxPax is being set up to deny and to shut down this gold. As the probe is in position to throw down a gateway as well for faster reinforcements. Stalkers are moving out. For the time being, Trigger otherwise preoccupied by the oracles. And again, MaxPax, he wants to deny that expansion. Dark Shrine is almost done behind this. Base taking a lot of hits. Trigger has Blink of his own, trying to come in from behind. Even catching reinforcements. Oh, not bad. Does get 2. Takes down 2 Stalkers, trading with the main army. Reinforcements on the way. And Trigger, he does hold on to the gold. Yeah, better fight for Trigger. Overall, nice movement here, coming in from behind, catching MaxPax off guard, and he does hold on to the gold for now. Bearing in mind, the pylon is done, and more importantly, so is the Dark Shrine. Dark Shrine has completed for MaxPax. He can warp in DTs across the map, and do we have detection? There is a rover. There is a rover, there is an observer, does pop out in time. So Trigger has detection. DTs will not just end the game, but they can still get damage done. Even if there are observers, even if there are cannons, DTs, they can still wreak havoc. So there's still potential for MaxPax. So we've got an Oracle for each mineral line. Likewise, DT waddles in, but gets shut down. Very nice defense out of Trigger. Does catch the first CT. Forced to recall over. Specifically, he was recalling the Observer. So the Observer does get here in time. Stasis to the main. Oh! Oh my god. Clutch blink, but alas, the 3 Stalkers, they get caught out. Ay, ay, ay. At least no economy. At least the probes do escape. But still a brutal pickoff. If it wasn't for the stasis, the Oracle would have gone down. The Oracle is 1 shot away from falling. And does survive. But Trigger, again, even though he had a lower worker count, he has a better economy now with the gold. So he's able to hold his own. Trigger now taking a supply lead. He's up in Stalkers, up in Immortals. MaxPax trying to take his own gold, but I'll be honest, I don't know if MaxPax can hold on to this base. Not in this kind of setup. Trigger, he's up in Immortals. Making more reinforcements. More DTs waddling in. And Trigger, he's waiting for his Warp Prism. Once it does move out across the map, Trigger, he's going to be knocking down that gold. Main army suit clash. Trigger trying to reinforce. Wasn't quite ready for this. The Immortal doing a lot in the back line. Stasis has been thrown down. Gets triggered by Trigger. Let's go. Does bait it out. The Trigger. Base out the Stasis. Prism has arrived. Charge now finishing up. Trigger, he can reinforce. At the same time, DTs do hit the gold, but there is a cannon. There is a cannon in position. MaxPax coming from behind, going for the Warp Prism. Will snipe it. Prism goes down. Nice pickup. Charge still not done. The slow lots are coming in. Finishing up in 5 seconds. Another Stasis behind this. Oh! Does catch 3 Zealots. The overcharge gets popped, and MaxPax, he will hold. He will hold on. Trigger, he has to rebuild that Warp Prism. At the same time, DTs are waddling in. They haven't done much damage yet, but there's no cannon in the natural. Probes are going down. Trigger otherwise committing. And Trigger is forcing himself all in a way. Does push into natural. Immortal's a little bit too far behind. And Stealths are going down. Trigger, he has to back off, but he does get into the mineral line. 20 probe kills. Not bad. 20 probes go down, but MaxPax, he dives on the main army. Zelta coming in from behind. A very messy fight. The Immortals are getting picked up. But Trigger, he will hold his own. Takes down the Zelts. More Zelts are coming to reinforce. And MaxPax will force this back. He forces back the main army, but he lost a lot of his economy. Likewise, though, Trigger, he's also committed. Also has been making probes. It's still so close. Can a Trigger break his opponent? Now, +2 is going to finish a little bit faster for Trigger. It is slightly faster here for the red Protoss. So there's a small window where he will have the upgrade advantage. Temple Archives on the way for Archon production. Not ready yet. And the DT harass continues. Still no cannon in the natural or in the main. These DTs, they can become a problem. Gets the Oracle. DT's waddling in. Max is doing what he does best. Trigger caught off guard. DT waddles in. Probes are going down. This is becoming a bit much. Yeah, Trigger's attention is being split. Bleeding out a lot of Zealots. Across the map, Trigger, he does crisis manage himself quite well here, only losing 5 probes, but Trigger doesn't really have much of an economy, and he bleeds out the Stalkers. Stalkers are going down, and Trigger is getting pulled apart. GG gets called. Too many losses too quickly, and MaxPax will take game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. A very close game here, and again, it did feel like the DTs were the MVPs. As we mentioned before, the DTs didn't really deal any critical damage, but they did distract Trigger multiple times, forcing defensive reinforcements or defensive warp-ins, likewise sniping a couple of workers here and there and pulling away his attention. And with that, MaxPax was able to take advantage of Trigger and take the game. GG. GG, well played. Despite that, I'm honestly really impressed. It looks like if it wasn't for the DT harass, I feel like Trigger would have overwhelmed. He would have been able to overwhelm his opponents, would have been able to break the gold. Again, Trigger, he was doing well for himself, but alas, was kind of fraying on the edges there, and MaxPax did claw his way back in. GG, well played. And now we find ourselves in game 2. MaxPax only needs one more to take the series to advance on into the quarterfinals. Trigger has to fight back here and now to force the ace match. Here we go. As we load into a much larger map, as we load into Golden Aura. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Golden Aura, we have the blue Protoss player. The Danish Protoss, representing Sidestorm Gaming, leading the series 1-0, it is MaxPax. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the Canadian Protoss player, the red Protoss representing Basilisk, it is Trigger. We go. Overall, I did really like the movement of Trigger. Again, we spoke earlier, the moments when he took the gold base. It was a risky maneuver, but he was able to get away with it. He was able to take a better fight, able to take advantage of the gold, and he was trying to go for a very committed charge timing thereafter. But alas, barely was unable to break MaxPax. Did get a lot of economic damage, that is true, but at the same time, he was also losing probes to the DT harass, and even though he had cannons and shield batteries at the gold, didn't have them ready at the natural or the main. I remember for a long time, that's what MaxPax was known for in PvP, specifically back in 2020, 2021, even into the early kind of months of 2022. We had MaxPax just constantly making DTs work like no other in PvP. Just being so annoying, just throughout the course of a PvP, just sprinkling in like 1, 2, 3 DTs every now and then, and they do gain damage over time. Well, they gain value over time. But now, we're settling in. We're settling in. So far, everything looking normal. Both players going for gate expands. Interesting. Trigger going for the MaxPax opener on Golden Aura. Bold move. Bold move out of Trigger, but he's keeping up with his opponents. Double gas openers. Now, this is where I'm a little bit concerned. When it comes to gate expand setups like this, and if we take our initial gases, this could lead into a Stargate opener before Nexus. I say that the probe is zoned away and MaxPax will not be able to pylon block. MaxPax is going for the faster Stargate, but Trigger could try to get away with a faster expansion. Now, if Trigger also goes for a Stargate opener, and there it is, Stargate has been thrown down, and the problem is both players are aware. Both Trigger and MaxPax should be aware of the tech of choice, and this could be the beginning of Phoenix Wars. This is more commonplace on maps like Side Delta or Amphion because of the ramps coming into the natural, but given this kind of game state here on Golden Aura, because of the builds themselves, we could see Phoenixes from both players. Now, as I say that, MaxPax saw the Stargate, Trigger did not. Trigger, he did not confirm the Stargate, so there's less of a reason for Trigger to start a Phoenix. Speaking of, Phoenixes have begun for MaxPax, so that makes sense. Now, even though Trigger didn't scout, Trigger should be aware of the build, and he should be able to read that his opponent is going Phoenixes. That's 2 more gates. Oh, okay. 2 more gates for Trigger, so he's not going into Phoenix Wars. He's actually setting up for 1 base all in. Oh my god. No expansion. I just assumed that there was a Nexus and he was just going for like a gateway follow-up, but no. Never mind. Phoenix has begun, that is true, but Trigger, he's massing up Stalkers. He's massing Stalkers, Phoenixes, they do run into each other. MaxPax has to back off, as Trigger has Stalkers to support. And Trigger, he's going for the all-in. He's slowly moving out. Again, trying to support that Phoenix with those Stalkers. More Stalkers going to be on the way. And MaxPax is aware. Back at what do we have? We have 1 shield battery on the low ground. We're going to have an overcharge as well. Now MaxPax, he's down in Stalker production. You can see Trigger throwing down those pylons. Very brazen with the pylons, but they're safe. Shouldn't really be threatened. Oh my god. Trigger getting a lot of damage done. Again, Trigger metagaming MaxPax here. Trying to punish the Mass Phoenix with this 1 base all in. And is it going to work? We do have a 4th gate. It's going to be a 4 gate all in. Phoenix, they try to catch out some of these Stalkers. Alas, so far, they haven't gotten any yet. MaxPax building up energy. Stalkers moving out. How many Stalkers in total? We have 8. 8 Stalkers for Trigger. Does poke in. But there's another shield battery on the way and a Void Ray as well. It's not going to be an easy assault. Just now getting a Phoenix. Gets 1 for a Stalker. Oof. He's out of Phoenix as well so far. Better defense out of MaxPax. He is holding. Overcharge was popped. Trigger has to respect it. He has to buy time. He has to back off. He does commit. Gets a Stalker. Gets 1. Gets a Phoenix as well. Boys are being pulled. His Mac alignment is activated. Trigger, he's running out of steam a little bit here. Down to 11 Stalkers. Losing another. Another Stalker goes down. And another as well. Again, MaxPax being so meticulous with how he engages. Picking off Stalker after Stalker. And the longer this goes on, the worse it is for Trigger. And he's losing too much. Leading out far too many Stalkers. He's trying to break through. He's running out of steam. Gets the Void Ray. Void Ray does go down. There's 4 Stalkers left. Trigger trying to break through. But there's plenty of shield batteries here. Plenty of shield batteries behind this. There's a 2nd overcharge. GG gets called. MaxPax will hold, will defend, and will take the series 2-0. GG. Whew. GG, well played. I am fascinated by that build. So what I find really cool is that build from Trigger was specifically designed to punish a Phoenix build from MaxPax. So everything at the start of the game looked normal. It looked like a gate cyber expand into Stargate into Phoenixes. As I was mentioning, it looked like Phoenix Wars, which is why MaxPax made Phoenixes and why he was making more, because he assumed that that's kind of the dynamic that he was getting himself into. We saw, though, the Trigger, instead, he didn't expand. He threw down 2 more gateways. He went for a 1 base all in. And again, that was designed to snipe MaxPax's build. That was the purpose there, clearly. But as we saw, he barely wasn't able to trade well enough. He wasn't catching the Phoenixes when he otherwise should have. MaxPax, he was being so efficient and being so careful with his army movement, pulling back, saving his Phoenixes, saving his Stalkers, being so cost efficient. And alas, Trigger was unable to break him. Honestly, I feel like if MaxPax had controlled any worse, then Trigger probably would have snowballed out of control. But alas, MaxPax said just buy enough time. And again, as we mentioned, as time went on, it was better and better for MaxPax. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations, MaxPax will take the series. I do think that this was a very smart series overall out of Trigger. I love the builds, both in Game 1 and Game 2. I'm referring to rushing into the gold and going for like a charge timing in Game 1, and here in Game 2 going for a 1 base all in. Like, it makes sense logically, but at the end of the day, it did come down to the execution and the control of the players, and that's where MaxPax did excel. GG, well played. Whew. And with that, MaxPax will take the series, and we'll advance on into the quarterfinals. But that was great. I love that PvP. Like it wasn't as I don't know, like ape-like as I feel like usually whenever we cast MaxPax in a PvP against most Protoss players, it kind of devolves into like, you know, like a proxy robo immortal, like one base all in against MaxPax and he has to defend. Even though we did have an all in game 2, it was a little more specialized and was a little more specific from Trigger, and I appreciate it. There was some mind games going on, which I do appreciate. And from here, we're getting ready for our next series. We're going to be following MaxPax into the 3rd round. Oh boy, this portion of the bracket is progressing a little bit faster as we